Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar where we are lucky enough to be joined by the extremely knowledgeable Chris Main as we talk about getting your business ready for AI. Obviously, we hear lots of different discussions about AI. Today's a real opportunity for you to ask lots of questions and learn a little bit more about those things that are going to help you take it to the next level. Today, we partner with our wonderful gold sponsors at NICE, and we talk about some of the things that Chris and the team from NICE are actually seeing out there in the environment. And we hear a little bit about the importance of that clear data strategy and look as well at some of the use cases emerging in the market. In the spirit of reconciliation, AusContact acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Today's webinar will run for approximately 60 minutes, and during that time, with the help of Chris, we hope the session itself provides some interesting insights into things that are actually in your control and can help you take it to the next level within your own organisation. We'll have the opportunity for some Q&A at the end of the session to round everything out. But I'm Fran Southwood, CEO of AusContact, and I will be your moderator today. We'll just run through some general housekeeping with you. We encourage interaction. It's always better. You'll get more out of it and maximize the benefits if you actually interact with us today. There's no need to take too many notes, as we'll provide you with a recording of the webinar and the slides that we'll go through. Ensure you use the Q&A button on the control panel or the chat feature. If you're anything like me, I think I say this every time, but I still think it matters. Write your questions down as you go, or you will forget them. And that way as well, if it's relevant and topical, so if it's about what we're actually hearing Chris talk about then and there, I'll jump in with your questions so it can actually resolve it in real time. If it's something that can wait, we'll keep it for the end at Q&A. If you're listening through headset or speakers and you have any issues with your connection, note the raise hand on the control panel. If you click that, one of the AusContact team will jump in and try and help out. Alternatively, in your registration email, you will see phone numbers that you can just jump in and use. I think, Chris, there's also a prize today for the best questions. Again, we encourage participation, so get those questions in. Chris, after the session, will judge this. So, Chris is the ultimate decision maker, but there is a MasterCard gift voucher on offer to the value of $200. So thank you, NICE. Fantastic to encourage participation. So I'm now going to introduce our speaker today. Chris has done a lot of webinars with us. Chris Main is the head of analytics and AI pre-sales at NICE. Incredibly knowledgeable. Like I said, it's great to get experts at your fingertips to be able to ask them questions that might have been burning, or even if it's about the information today. But Chris, I'm going to hand over to you to get things moving.
Thanks, Fran. Appreciate the introduction. Hi, everyone. Chris Main, I head up analytics and AI pre-sales consulting for NICE and based in Melbourne. And today we're going to have a bit of a walk through AI for customer experience. We'll share some thoughts on the landscape, some of the common business challenges we're seeing, and I'll take you through how we're some of the stuff that we've done and how we're helping some of our clients address some of these, business challenges, I think, that have been around for a long time, but with the explosion in artificial intelligence that I don't need to tell you about, how can we leverage these new and emerging tool sets to better service the needs of our customers? So, as you would have seen in the invite, we'll talk a little bit about data strategy and preparation, recognizing that if we want, to deliver effective artificial intelligence-driven solutions, then we need to make it brand aware, we need to make it process aware. Where is our data sitting? How can we get that data to our AI, bots, assistants, whatever it is. And then we're going to talk about operationalizing purpose-built AI for CX. What does that mean? Well, if we think about AI in terms of like, well, there's, ChatGPT as a sort of like conversational interface. That's great, and we'll get to that. But there are other elements of AI that can help us extract knowledge and understanding from our interactions today to drive better business outcomes. And again, as I said already, we'll have a little bit of a look at how we're helping some customers today with AI, with generative AI. Okay. So data strategy and preparation. So if we think about what organizations today are trying to achieve, probably what they've always been trying to achieve, like making money, saving money, improving customer experience, and of course, meeting their legal and regulatory compliance obligations, particularly in those regulated industries like financial services, insurance, and so on. To do that, organizations will employ people, they'll employ bots and arm them with a whole range of tool sets and capabilities, case management, ERP systems, email, quality management, to help manage their performance, give them the right tools, information, and knowledge to meet the needs of the customer. And whatever needs events the customers might have, whether it's, I'm researching about you as a company and checking out your products and services, I need to make a purchase, made a purchase, and, I want to see where it is, where's my order, when's it going to get delivered, right through to sort of servicing, scheduling a technician visit or solving any problems I have. And I might do that as a customer through any number of contact points, from emailing you as an organization, giving you a call, or just sort of Googling, how do I fix this widget on my brand X thing? So there's a lot happening. Businesses trying to achieve a whole bunch of different things. The employees and the bots in the business are doing their best to try and drive towards those objectives using the tools they have available, and the customers are on the other side of the fence trying to solve their problems and move forward with their lives. But from a business perspective, and by the way, this is an actual slide that was shared with us, from one of our customers. They said, hey, what we're trying to achieve. You understand our employee landscape, quite well. You understand all the tools and processes that are going through, and you understand our industry vertical very, very well. This is what we've built as an organization to try and solve those problems. We've got these tons of different, point solutions, from, call routing, recording, analytics, voice bots, mobile things. I've got 3 different knowledge management solutions in different parts of my business, recognizing that some businesses can grow quite quickly through acquisition, and it can take time to, unify onto a common platform. So if we sort of, take this as a given, we understand organizations grow and they'll invest in possibly best of breed point solutions to meet discrete needs. So you inevitably end up with silos of data, silos of information. And to me, like, that makes it hard to apply, an artificial intelligence driven bot to service your customer needs more effectively. It's hard to get the information out of all these silos, stitch it together in a meaningful way, and present it in a sort of common format, common framework, such that an artificial intelligence neural net can interact with it, quickly and easily, and help your customers get to resolution. But just distilling that down a bit, this is what's been built to try and help organizations drive towards resolution. So this the Franken stack, quietly call it internally. So recognizing, trying to distill that down a bit. We want to understand the entry points. How are our customers interacting with us? How do we orchestrate those journeys from like woe to go, connect with our customers on their channel of choice, offer them smart self-service where appropriate, empower our agents. Because I think it's jarring, as an employee coming into a business with, you've got, smartphones that are amazing, but AI assistants, you've got Alexa and Google in your home, to some coming into work, and it can be quite often like some dated applications. So how do we empower our agents with better tools, better processes driven by AI to get better outcomes? And then how do we manage the performance of our bots and our employees in a sort of seamless way, driven by AI, to lighten the load a bit on the people that are trying to do that. So we think that one of the best ways to do that is to unify your data on a common platform. And of course, we have a common platform, and what it does is it allows us to bring all of that data together, all of the interaction data, everything we know about your employees, about your customers, about your business, from your knowledge management solutions, from your historical interactions, and everything that's happening, out there in the World Wide Web, because we can consume that information as well. We can stitch it together to help you as an organization drive forward as a business. So let's lift the lid on that a little bit, because that's sort of like, recognizing that we can have these really fractious environments. We want to bring that information together and make it digestible. I'm going to share with you now what we've done when we've been able to bring together like massive amounts of data. So purpose-built AI for customer experience. What does that mean? Well, I'm just gonna go back one slide. Just there was a call out here that I missed. If you're ever talking to anyone from NICE and they mention the phrase enlighten, that's how we refer to our AI. Any of our solutions that has enlighten in it has some flavor of machine learning or artificial intelligence baked into it. Now, NICE is an organization. We've been around for 35 odd years. We've been doing speech analytics type stuff for 20 plus years. So this is a space that we know quite well. And the data that we use, we have used to refine and build some targeted artificial intelligence models to tell us things about interactions. Is just from single voice interactions, single digital interactions, email, web chat, you name it. Again, all centralize a common repository, single customer identifier where possible. And on every single interaction, that we interrogate, we understand, the intent. Why are customers contacting us? That's one of the first things you'll need to understand in order to be able to, train and build more effective AI. And not just what do they want, but how are they saying it? A customer might want to say, hey, I want to pay my bill, or I've got a bill to pay, or my bill's overdue. Can you help me make a payment on my bill? So these are the utterances that we can group together where there's commonality to define a particular intent. And then we can bring together everything we know about that, what's happening in the interaction, that conversational layer, and now bringing in the metadata layer. Everything we know about the customer from the CRM, case systems, everything we know about your employees and their behavior from scheduling system, agent notes, quality management, evaluations, compliance standards. And again, and then adding our heritage with interaction analytics. So mining not just what we know about the customer, what we know about the employee, but what's been happening in those previous interactions. So looking at customer sentiment, historical demands, whether there's been failure demand in there, has the customer had to call back 5 times to get to the resolution. So the point is we've had access to, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail, billions of interactions that can help us design and build frameworks and solutions and targeted AI to help you resolve those customer needs. So I mentioned, all of these discrete interactions, voice interactions, chat interactions, email, but not just single interactions. At NICE, we've had access to literally billions of interactions, shared with us over the last 20 years by some of our key partners across multiple industry verticals. So if we think it's literally billions of interactions, which becomes important because artificial intelligence, like agents, it needs to be trained, and it can be really hard as an organization, particularly at the sort of small to medium enterprise level, to get the scale of data that you need to build reliable artificial intelligence models to help your employees service your customers better. Part of the reason scale is a problem is that it's one of the biggest levers that we use when we're training AI bots to dilute our bias. We get a lot of questions around, well, okay, you've got all these AI models and you can do all this cool stuff, but is it ethical? Has that data been sourced, from the right people? Is it representative? Which is a sort of common thread of discussion within AI. And again, one of the strongest, counters to that is scale. So when we're saying, hey, we get billions of interactions, actual real life customer interactions, and we've used that to train AI models to address needs events in financial services and insurance, retail, travel, hospitality, telco, public services. The scale is important, and it very much allows us to reduce bias, ensure that it's fair, as well as some other measures that we've been employed to do so. So that's the world's largest labeled and validated customer experience data set. I think that's important to call out because understanding that it can be challenging to get representative and useful and good data to show to a machine learning model to build effective and accurate machine learning networks to tell you things about your customer interactions. So again, drawing a distinction between like a generative pre-trained transformer, a GPT, ChatGPT, which is a conversational interface with a large data set, to what I'm talking about here, and we'll come to GPT in a moment, is probably more accurately described as narrow AI. We can help you understand from your interactions, customer sentiment, AI models for customer effort, fraud identification, sales effectiveness, and the soft skill customer satisfaction behaviors that employees need to exhibit to drive more effective customer experience outcomes. Now, I think most importantly is this intent identification. So again, understanding why your customers are contacting you can lead you down a much richer path to resolution to deliver a better customer experience outcome. And again, because we've been doing this for a while, we have some really, really mature models that we can turn up instantly to help our customers understand at a really, really granular level automatically, why are your customers contacting you? And then we can mine that and extract, well, how are they articulating it? And what are the processes the employees have taken those customers through to get to resolution? And then we can use that as a best practice to start training intelligent virtual agents and chatbots and use it, I think in conjunction with a GPT model to tell us other things about the interaction. Okay.
Chris,
So,
I was just going to jump in
yeah.
there. I guess the other thing that, you know, all of this work supports is, you know, there it's fabulous to be then able to build the models that are actually helping solve. You know, you've got your different iterations of you know, application within that. The other thing it continues to help with is the design of service, right? So, you
Correct.
know, it really highlights the opportunity that organizations have to rethink their design approach, to incorporate
Yeah.
design thinking and system thinking with technology to
Mm.
really get one step ahead.
That's a really good point. And what we've been doing with our customers is, taking a really large sample size of their interactions and working with them, applying these layers upon layers of discrete models to tell us things about the interaction and saying, hey, for this, password reset demand or update my account or I want to cancel or buy something new, let's use some of these models to filter down the data set. Let's find the interactions that have been seen through to resolution, where the customer is happy, they haven't had to be transferred 5 times. And let's understand from that, well, what are the process steps the agent has taken the customer through for those discrete intents? And each step of the way, how is the customer, asked for certain things and how is the employee responded? We're able to segment all that out using, a range of different technologies like the AI that's on here and with speech to text transcription for voice interactions. And it can become really, really easy, frankly, to extract like, well, these are the best process flows. These are the best sample interactions that I'm then going to use to train my bot to resolve these interactions in the same way as my best agents in my contact center do that manually today. But of course, I'm going on a digital transformation journey and I want to take some of those, high cost interactions like my voice channel and push them down an intelligent virtual agent channel, chatbot channel. So yeah, we've packaged everything we're able to extract from interactions up into Enlighten. And we also recommend, we talk about it being process aware and being brand aware. Everything I think I've just covered there about extracting insight and understanding of like the intents of the processes of the outcomes from the interactions is here, but then that business specific knowledge is typically something that resides today in a knowledge management system. And what we're seeing in the market is that knowledge management is all of a sudden sexy again. Everybody's talking about knowledge management. And why? Because that's where your business specific knowledge resides. And having a knowledge management solution, which we can help you with, I'm not going to talk a lot about knowledge management, but it's something that does reside within our common data platform. It becomes really easy to connect those best practice process flows, best practice outcomes that you've used to design those bots with the business specific knowledge. So I guess that the process specific steps that we're able to extract from your manual interactions today in the contact center, coupling that with really well structured business knowledge in your knowledge management platform, and dropping a GPT model on top of that, bringing those two things together. Because I think it's a slight oversimplification, but the needs events that a customer has can be sort of segmented out into like this fulfillment need. I need to do something, and you get a knowledge need. Like I want to know something, and I think understanding, your business specific processes and transaction steps and fulfillment steps, and extracting that with AI from your voice channel and injecting it into an IVA is really important. But yeah, the knowledge needs, like how do we connect your customers in a conversational way with all the, the best sort of up-to-date and relevant business and business and product and service specific knowledge. That's something that we're talking to, like, in fact, more or less every organization we speak to today, that's what we're talking about. They're saying, well, I want to deliver a better digital experience, to my customers. And we're like, that's great. We can help you with that. Where's your knowledge today? Where is that? And how well curated is it? And what are your processes for keeping it up to date? Because let us show you how we do it, because this is important. This is a layer that you need to have in place to be able to then drop a GPT model on top of it to provide that conversational interface. I'm oversimplifying slightly. It's not just dropping a model on top of it. There's some prerequisites, a bit of techie stuff in there, but that's it in principle. So
I think it's a really key point though, right? If organizations aren't investing and ensuring that the data is fit for purpose, relevant, up to date, all of those things, it needs to actually be ready. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how great the tech is.
Yeah,
if your data that's building it is actually not appropriate or fit for purpose, it's not going to give you the results that are stellar or optimized, right?
And what you'll see in contact centers today is that a lot of knowledge management stuff is actually, agents will themselves curate nuggets on their own desktop, like stuff that they need to know that they refer to frequently, or they become really proficient at navigating quickly, like sort of really deep folder structures with hotkeys, and they've got shortcuts, and that's not good knowledge management. That's really really fractious, really segmented, and really hard to keep up to date. There's like a lot of old stuff in there. A colleague of mine quite often uses the metaphor, like, it's a bit like if you got your fridge, you're opening the fridge up, you're looking for something nice and fresh to eat, but at the back of the fridge, there's stuff that's been there for months, and there's things that's like clearly, really gross and disgusting, as well as some of the newer stuff that you bought within the last few days. Dropping like an AI model on top of your fridge like that is basically like putting all of that stuff in the blender and making a smoothie and drinking it, which is disgusting. I'm sorry for that, but if you think about, well, where does my business knowledge need to be and how do I keep it up to date? It's really, really important to have a knowledge management system that supports that and is structured in a way that allows it to be sort of natively updated. It's all interconnected, and it's really easy for an AI model to interrogate and surface up the right information, either directly to the customer or to the employee in real time as the interactions unfolding. Sort of, I think most organizations today are looking around at these co-pilot type solutions where the agents can have a conversation with the knowledge base or the CRM, sort of really, intuitive, easy to use way. And that's very much the direction that we're heading in.
Chris, can I just ask another question? Is here where you would find organizations are also investing heavily in ensuring that the channel strategy, their customer strategy, all of that is really aligned and considered as they're building these flows? So, again, depending on your vertical, you might have a real view at a particular point in time that for the next 12 months, for these types of interactions, we actually want the channel choice to look a particular way. So this is where you'd see organizations also, particularly if they're quite mature in that they would actually make sure that all of the strategic components of their operation actually come together. So it's supported by the business specific knowledge, their channel and organizational strategies help identify what that brand specific outcome needs to be based on interactions. And that's where you guys would kind of work together to say, how does it link and how does it create your reputation in the market?
Yeah, and when you're thinking about, well, doing exactly that and driving your digital transformation and moving in, demands from, voice into digital, it is important to understand at a very granular level, what those intents are, what are the intents that typically have a really high, customer sentiment and resolution score, because you definitely don't want to be pushing your already upset customers out to like a bot for a bot to triage that solution. Maybe those are the people actually you need to elevate and give them the white glove service. So that's where it comes into play about like, well, what is our channel strategy for different intents, and how do I recognize those intents, and how do I provide thoughtful and intelligent AI-driven self-service that works to the right people, to the right intent at the right time. And yes, the intents and the particular people that I recognize might be heading towards, a churn event or a complaint, or I know they're already unhappy. Let me pick them up and connect them to one of my really sort of competent agents. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've kind of skimmed through that quite quickly, but just trying to recap. So when we talk about data strategy, we don't want to have siloed information, old information spread across like millions of different systems, because you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to bring that together and unify customer records and make it easy to deal with. So if we can unify that in a common platform, um, in a standardized way, mine the information that you do have and the channels that you do have available. We can help you do that. We've got a ton of different tool sets that we're using today across Australia and New Zealand to help our customers to build better bots faster, to apply artificial intelligence, out to customer-facing world on chat bots, voice bots, as well as in the contact center for agents to help guide them to resolution faster. And also, interestingly, I think, because that's where I come from that analyst view in the contact center, how about we give them something like ChatGPT sitting on top of contact center business data. So I'll just take you through now just a little bit about how we've actually done that, or what we've been doing, for our customers in the region, because I do think it's relevant to understand just how far the capability has come within the last even 12 to 18 months, 2 years at the most, since I think since the ChatGPT bomb dropped and everyone went, whoa, AI is like real and better than we ever thought it could be. Organizations like ours have pivoted more or less all of their R&D effort into operationalizing artificial intelligence, which I've definitely seen from where I sit, all these fun new toys landing my desk every other week. So if we think about, well, what does an interaction often look like? So I might be a customer, I can call up and say, hey, I might want to cancel my contract, it's a bit expensive for me. Yeah. And the agent would be like, all right, cool, yeah, let me help you with that. And they might not make the counter offer and say, well, let's try and do something about that. I can see you've been with us for a while. How about I'll give you a cheaper offer and maybe you think about staying with us. So the way that we're able to operationalize artificial intelligence that's been educated on your historical interactions, it's connected into your CRM, it's connected into your knowledge base, and it's running in real time on the agent desktop is what we call Copilot. And I think if you going like several steps back, if you're able to unify all of your data onto a common platform, if you're able to get insight and understanding from your historical interactions, and you've structured your knowledge base in a way that's easily interrogated by AI, then it becomes quite straightforward to, to lift out next best actions and recommendations and guidance for your agent in real time, either on human-assisted digital interactions or in real-time voice interactions in the contact center for those intents, those demands that we might not want to push out, to just yet. So we can help you understand, voice interactions, the customer's frustrated, because sentiment's not good. Here's some guidance, here's some steps from the knowledge base, and here's some process steps. If we want to take it a step back and recognizing that, the customer, when they have their need event, they might immediately not want to pick up the phone, because I know I certainly don't. We now want to be able to extend this, what we're looking at here is sort of like part of the agent's soft phone in the contact center. It's listening in real time, and it's allowing the agent, to say, ask questions from the knowledge base. We want that same capability to be available, maybe on the website, to be customer facing. Possibly it's in the app or in the customer portal, because I think most customers today will self-service when we can, but part of the challenge is connecting those customers to the best available information. Thinking back to the slide about the Frankenstack, and we've got all these different siloed capabilities, probably a standalone web chat capability, that becomes hard to point to like that unified data layer, to allow the customers to get to the freshest and the best and the most relevant knowledge articles. But again, because we've got a long heritage of drilling into interactions to understand those process flows, to understand how customers articulate X or Y or Z intents, and we can connect the knowledge base, which we can keep up to date for you, to the chatbot. It becomes much easier for the customers to get to resolution. They can ask questions, get answers in real time, and probably they'll be happy with that, and they don't even need to then pick up the phone and say, have a sort of higher have a higher cost voice interactions. The previous slide we looked at Copilot, that's the agent assistant. This is what we refer to as Autopilot, and it's really just allowing customers to drive themselves through to resolution by giving them AI-driven access to all of the information you might have as an organization, with some guardrails around what can and can't be shared directly with customers. Now, just super quickly, this is one of the ones I'm most excited about, because I spent years working in operations, and you'd get asked for a report and be like, hey, can you go and tell us about this thing, but it was last week, and it was involving these agents, and this happened, and whatever. And you're pulling data from like 5 different systems, and you're trying to crunch it all together, and it takes ages, and then something else will happen, and you have to run off and do that. But again, if we've taken the time to unify and structure our knowledge, it becomes much easier then to leverage the advances in artificial intelligence. So what we're looking at here is Enlighten Actions. This is available today. And every time I play with it, I learn something new, or it astounds me just how powerful it can be. I'm sure you've all had to play with ChatGPT or some other similar capabilities. Like, imagine pointing that at your contact center business data. So everything from ACD, IVR metadata, all of the insights and understanding we can get from things like speech analytics, all the quality scores, all your workforce management stuff, and all of your knowledge-based things, and being able to have that conversation with your data. I think this is this is really forward-looking capability, and if something like this isn't on your roadmap, then it absolutely should be, you know, something you start thinking about. I'm going to come back a couple of slides because so this is Copilot. This is again, this is something we're talking to most of our customers today. Now, I'm just going to draw your attention to this thing at the start. So, which is customer had questions about the first bill being higher than expected. They wanted to enroll in autopay. One of the most rock solid use cases with like a really bankable return on investment and a sort of really, you know, measurable impact also on employee experience is taking everything you know about the interaction. So why did the customer call? What were the key events and actions and commitments made? What were the outcomes? Was it resolved? Did we promise a callback? What was the sentiment? I think if you know all that about your interactions and you're able to get to that in real time, it becomes then really easy to say, well, that's actually more or less the notes that I need to make about that interaction. It's why the customer called. It's what happened on the call. It's what commitments were made, and it's what's happening next. And that's, you know, that automatic call summarization is something that, again, we're talking to every single customer about day in, day out. It's a capability that we can deliver today. We've got customers running live with this, both in Australia and New Zealand, as well as globally. And if you think about on every single call, then there's typically, what, 30, 60, 90 seconds or more of after call work. And at least part of that, possibly as much as half, is the agent, you know, typing up, customer called about this, I said this, you know, I reset the password. They sounded like they might want to, you know, buy something else. I might give them a call back next week, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, that can take, you know, 30, 60, 90 seconds. But what happens is the agents very often condense that into a sort of subset of English that very likely only they understand. There's lots of jargon, there's lots of acronyms, definitely typos because they're trying to do it really quickly. And it's really hard, I think, for the next agent that opens that customer record when the same person calls back next week and be like, oh, you spoke to Jim and something, I don't know what that says. But if you're able to put everything you know about the interaction that you've extracted through a generative AI model, it can write the summary for you. And this is just a little snippet up here. So that's something that we're rolling out, you know, with several customers right now. We've had one customer in particular that's been live with that since January. And it's, again, it's taking that narrow AI that we've trained on billions of interactions, you know, intents, actions, outcomes, and combining it with the best of generative AI to solve a business problem that has not really been addressable in the market before.
Chris, can I just ask with that, organisations, particularly in some industries, have some legal requirements that need to be included in notes, you know, quite specific. You can actually set it up that it incorporates anything you design into what needs to be incorporated in that, can't you? So, you know, I'm thinking banking, insurance, some government organisations, etc., particularly around debt recovery and things like that. The obligation remains with the organisation to, you know, include some really specific data.
Yeah, that's such a good question, Fran. I think you've been spending a bit too much time with NICE, but that's actually coming in the next release. So right now, it's taking, again, and I'm repeating myself, you know, intents, actions, and outcomes from the interaction, pushing it through a GPT model with the transcript and saying, hey, can you please summarize this interaction that we know this about in a nice, friendly way for the next agent that speaks to this customer. Coming in the next release, which will be probably 8 weeks from now, will be exactly what you've described. We recognize that exactly what you said. Some organizations you have a mandate or even just an existing process that they really like to structure summaries or their after call notes in a particular way, and include certain data points that they use, for downstream business cases. So yeah, I think that's absolutely the expectation of the market, and yeah, that's what we'll be delivering to.
Oh, that's great, particularly from that compliance lens. I think that's really good
Mm.
news.
Yeah, and typically the way that that's solved today is by screen recording and
Yeah,
or even desktop analytics if you're lucky. But yeah, screen recording, and the quality assessor or the team leader will need to listen to the recording and watch the video of what happened in the screen to see if all the right actions and outcomes were made, and yeah, or trawling through the CRM, which is hard, by the way, because it's not time stamped in the same way as the interactions. So what notes were written at what time and by whom, and what interaction can I tag it back to?
definitely. And look, you know what it's like for an agent on the call. If they're talking to a client there and then, opening a CRM and trying to look down,
Mm,
the records of what was a call or what,
mm,
automatic generated communication
mm.
went out to a customer. You've really got to pick through. So anything that actually helps bring that to
Yeah,
more of a real-time sense is fantastic. Because
and
it doesn't just
here,
help with the after call, right? It helps with the
yeah.
hold, it helps with all of that management
Mm.
stuff.
And we're really aware of that from the point of view of cognitive load for the agent,
Yeah.
like because I think in a lot of organizations today, like self-service isn't new, digital self-service isn't new, but I think there's definitely a ceiling. It's really quick and easy to get the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to get the maybe change of address and the password reset and where's my nearest branch, FAQs out the way on the website, which is great, and it will save you some time and effort. But what it means is all of the easy calls, like people aren't calling
They're
in about that.
gone.
So you're
Yeah.
left with, your high value, complex, and really emotive, voice calls going into the contact center. So I think that the job of the call center agent is harder today than it's ever been. So the calls are harder. So let's see what we can do about automating where it makes sense, giving them a
Mm,
co-pilot to help them with the calls and lightening that sort of cognitive load for them.
definitely the right way to go.
So yeah, I think we're probably getting quite close with time. I wanted to leave, 5 minutes or so for uh, questions and answers.
Cool. Well, we'll wait for people to throw questions in there for us.
Mhm.
While we're waiting, though, Chris,
Mm,
I'd love to hear, are you seeing, and I know we talked last year, and I've talked to a lot of
mm,
members who, have sort of reflected on almost a hesitancy to jump into
mm.
or to deploy and implement some of this new technology. Are you seeing that shifting? Are you seeing appetites change? Are you seeing take up sort of moving a little faster as the year's progressing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's evident in the types of roles that you're seeing become available in the marketplace. So organizations now recruiting for, a head of AI, for
Yep.
heads of digital transformation. And I think that the projects that these companies are undertaking are increasingly adopting some of the newer tool sets. There's humorously, there've been a number of early adopters, like they're really quick out the gate with things like ChatGPT before it was really well understood um, how fraught that could be. But I think the more organizations that we engage with and we take them through our capabilities around, here's what we can do for your agents in real time. Here's what we can do for your customers by connecting them to the best available information on the website. And here's what we can do for you, for your operations staff and your analysts by providing them a conversational interface with your data. You really see like the pin drop, and we're like, it's not roadmap anymore. I think when ChatGPT arrived, most technology vendors in the world sort of just wrote something AI on the end of their technology roadmap. But we've actually been doing this for years, and we've got the labeled data set. We've been calling, before everyone was calling it AI, we were like building and training tons of insight models to do stuff. But yeah, I think broadly the tide has turned, and I think the floodgates are opening basically. And if you're not doing something with AI, then your customers sure are, and it will show.
Yeah. And I think you're right. There's a real opportunity to have those multiple lenses, within some sort of structured strategy within an organization. Where are you seeing people step in and take that first step? Is it the view that they're going in looking at something small or isolated? Are you seeing more take up around an employee engagement and support perspective versus an automated inbot? What are you seeing the market do?
So two things. I touched on both of them. One is that automatic call summarization.
Yeah.
That to
It just
me
seems like a no-brainer, right?
is a slam dunk. It's
Yeah,
like, of course
yeah,
you want to do that. Like,
yep.
the agents don't want
Over
to be doing those notes, and I don't want to read somebody else's like, garbage
rubbish.
brain dump.
I can't tell you how many people over the years have said, "Why do we write this stuff, Fran?" And it was, they were right. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, that's a real. So why write agent notes? And historically, I probably would have agreed with you, but do you know when you're doing it automatically with AI and it's underpinned by everything you know about the interaction, the intents, actions, events, outcomes, um, you don't just need to use that information to summarize the call. That you've made everything about the call machine readable, and we can propagate it through like any number of BI tools or other use cases from quality management to insight analytics. So the automatic call summarization, yeah, slam dunk, love that. And the other one is knowledge management. So everyone's revisiting, even if they've just not long finished a knowledge management implementation or migration, they're like, oh, we didn't know about AI at the time because who did, like, 24 months ago. Looking at restructuring your knowledge to make it, again, machine readable by artificial intelligence. We're going in with one of the biggest banks in the UK right now on migrating the knowledge management system to our one, so that they can provide that agent co-pilot real-time Q&A from the knowledge base. So I think for me, that's one of the most exciting things. Yeah.
yeah. Look, we've got a couple of questions here. The first one here, actually, I'll ask the second question first because it actually follows on from what you've just talked about. What is the best way to structure knowledge for AI to consume and provide a response back that's suitable for agent consumption versus business facing? So, yeah, where do you go first?
So what we see with a lot of knowledge management systems is that the information is really flat, and it's not joined up. So we take a sort of like a more layered approach, and we interlink all of the data. That's relevant because it becomes much quicker and easier to update and keep it fresh, keep it current. And sorry, Fran, I do apologize. Could you say the first part of the question again? Just
The first part was specifically what's the best way to structure the knowledge for AI to be able to consume and then provide a response back that's suitable for
yeah,
agent consumption
yes.
versus business facing.
So it was the response back that is the important part, because like AI, GPT models, they're amazing, like constantly amaze me, but I don't think it's always the right answer. So the way that we approach it is that I guess the first pass is like a semantic search. And if it's really straightforward to answer the question that customer or the agent has asked of the knowledge base with, actually, here's a process guide on how to do it, or here's here's the technical guide that'll give you everything you need. Like, there you go. What we call it, guardrails. It's sort of, we'll do a first pass. Can we just really quickly provide some information based on a typical search, and also understanding like what the question was. If I'm a bank and somebody's trying to trick my AI and saying, hey, what, who won, the Cricket World Cup in 1982? It's like, we can, our guardrails will clean that out. We're not even going to finance that because it's not in the knowledge base. But then, yeah, if you structure your knowledge in a sort of like multi-tiered interlinked way, it's much easier for the AI not just to look at, like, do a search and be like, oh, there's one thing, but actually look at all of the data together and use the power of that pre-trained transformer to collate that in a really sort of friendly, human readable way and push it out. I think,
Cool.
hope that answered the question.
Okay, a couple of others here. How can AI be used to analyze patterns in an IT service desk data to predict, potential high priority incidents or service disruptions before they occur? That is a fantastic question. We've got a lot of members that are not your traditional contact center. They're running service desks. So I would imagine the intel and analysis capacity and capability it's just about
So I
different
think
training and different.
so the key, if you're trying to get some sort of incident alert management thing out of an AI system, the key is you need to understand what's happening in your interactions in real time, and that's like more straightforward in chat than it is in voice, at least for a lot of organizations. We can do both. We do both at the same time, so we'll help you do real time transcription. And in parallel, our AI-driven analytics can help you do historical analysis and be like, well, historically, when we've seen these things happen, it ends up here. And we can use that for lots of different use cases. We can identify all the different customers that made a complaint, or they churned, or they had some sort of IT help desk issue. But then we'd seen previously like X and Y and Z happen, and we can identify these as leading indicators. So let's say when we start to identify these things happening, we know we might be heading towards one of these particular outcomes, and that can become, the canary in the coal mine, and we can help you get oriented with that.
Definitely help with some of that predictive forecasting and modeling, for sure.
Yeah, but I think you can't start cold. I think you do need to do the analysis to understand the trends and patterns in your own organization to be able to then use that intelligence and insight in a forward-looking way.
Yeah, no, definitely. A question here for CX call summarization. So the stuff you've just taken us through, and the knowledge management. How easily does it connect with other CX systems from other providers? So is it a plug and play? Is it a full suite service? I think that's what George is asking. Yeah.
Unhelpfully, the answer is well, it depends. But no, I'll back off from that slightly. So we can provide the full suite service. We can provide, a one-stop shop for all your, cloud contact center, digital interactions, knowledge management, real-time guidance, AI, etc. We do have some capability to integrate on a standalone basis, like we can just provide in some cases, like just the real-time agent guidance with the automatic call summarization, and we can provide AI-driven conversational interface insights from a speech analytics perspective on a standalone basis. So probably worth a conversation to understand like where you're at, what you're trying to achieve. But obviously we're a software vendor. We'd love you to take the burger with the lot. That's good for us, but that's not where everyone is, and we can more or less integrate with anything. But yeah, it really depends what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, I am mindful of time. We're going to have to call it there. We've got another couple of questions, but what we'll actually do, Chris, is get you to respond to those in what we send out, just so everybody sees them as well. So thank you so much for today. I think it continues to be a topic that everybody is interested in. Some people are interested in jumping. Others just need to know a little bit more, but equally, The
Yeah.
stuff you've taken us through today showcases the importance of some of that preparation work. That again, if your
Mm.
executive and your senior leaders are looking at, we're getting there. There's things that are in your control that you can actually focus on now, thinking about your channel, your customer, your data strategy, and actually ensuring you've got a really clear and deliberate view of
Mm.
where you want this technology to support and take you. It is a really great starting point. But equally, Chris, I'm sure if people have got further questions
Mm.
or anything else, they can reach out.
Yeah,
We'll put
absolutely.
your
Pop me
details
in
in.
LinkedIn, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so you all heard it here. Jump on.
Yeah.
And Chris is always incredibly generous with his knowledge too. So, Chris, thank you again. As always, I always
Mm.
learn something from our sessions. And we can't wait to have the next session with you guys. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Thanks all. Talk soon.